Hi everyone, and welcome to the real-time coloring portion of this trio of videos. It is the card video, and then I also have the glitter tutorial, how to color glitter with the help of your Copics, and a little bit of a white gel pen. So this is the coloring portion, the real-time coloring portion of this character. She is called Bauble Fairy Reflection. She's a digital stamp by Make It Crafty. And she is my kind of finished card. When I do a coloring tutorial, I want to have a kind of how to use it in your real world example. And this time I did a little bit of a worksheet with some baubles, which you will find on my blog, which will be linked in the description down below. A little freebie that you can get and you can play around with and color and everything for the tutorial. But those are more for just practicing. So I wanted to show you how to make this on an image, on a real image. So I'm starting off doing her or coloring her skin, and I'm using my favorite skin tones as usual: E04, E11, E21, E00, and I'm using E000 as my lightest because that has a little bit of more of a pinky tone than the E50 that I usually use, and I kind of like using that pinky tone when I'm working with Christmas images because you get that rosy skin, that light rosy skin when it's winter and it's cold outside. So that is the kind of the skin tones. I already knew that I wanted to make the bauble red, just as in my practice sheets, so I wanted her to stand out. I didn't want the kind of neutrality that I had in my latest video where I used red and browns where for a Christmas angel. In this case I wanted her to stand out a little bit, and I kind of wanted her to be green. Fairies for me are very down to earth or earthy kind of characters. You can probably color them in any color. I just realized that fairies, purple fairies, are beautiful, but that would be kind of purple flowers. So yeah, but I wanted her to be green because it was the most down to earthy I could think about this time. So I'm starting out with the G19, or I mapped out my shadows with my YG01. And then I'm going in with the G19 to kind of just enhance those shadows I mapped out. However, I do realize that I've colored one of the bells green, or she has a little bell on her chest, and I didn't realize it until later that that bell is kind of supposed to be a bell and not be green. But hey, you get a green bell. She has a little green bell on the bow on the front of her dress. This image have kind of a reflection. I think she comes both with a gray reflection and a black reflection, so you can get the image reflected. But because I'm doing a glittered bauble, she won't be reflected that way, so I'm totally just ignoring the reflection. Then I'm going in with the rest of the YGs, which leaves her to more of a yellowish, greenish dress, because I thought that would be nice. All of the colors will be listed in the description down below and on my blog, so that you can kind of follow along if you want to. And as you see, I put the little cap of the color here on the side. I'm using one of my stamp blocks because I started realizing that the pens do have a little bit of a color on the caps. When you pull out the nib will kind of scrape on the cap, and I didn't want to have that on my surface, so I'm using a little block to put it on. But yeah, I'm just kind of filling in all of those little creases in her dress and everything. And then I'm going on to her wings. Now, I didn't want to bother with making them see-through. I just really didn't want to. So I'm just making them very sheer, but still opaque. So you can't really see through them that see her dress behind and stuff like that. I'm just adding color to them randomly. Just making them look a little bit light, but not see-through. Yeah, this was kind of me feeling that I wanted to concentrate on this bauble, so let me get through the rest of the image. I'm sorry, sometimes that happens, but yeah. So I'm just using kind of random colors, light yellows, light kind of minty greens, bluish tones, just a little bit of a mixture of colors that I feel make things feel light. And to finish off our little fairy, I'm actually giving her green hair. I was thinking for a very long time, what hair is she gonna have? Sometimes the image doesn't pop up in your head. Sometimes you're like, oh, this is how she wants to look. And sometimes you're like, I have no clue what colors I'm gonna use today. But I realized that I wanted to keep her very neutral and very kind of together, and then the bauble being the red thing. So I decided to give her some green hair, and I wanted her to have a little bit of a darker greener hair, so I went in with the G29 and the 19, and then I'm going on with the same colors that I'm using for her dress into her hair, and that way actually helps it make them kind of go together. So basically just taking a light version and a dark version of the same colors, so they have the same yellowish tone and everything, so they work together really good. Then I'm going in with my warm grays. The warm grays is just for the little top of the bauble. I'm not doing anything very big here. I'm just using 3 warm grays, 4, 2 and 0, and then just filling in, adding the 4 as where I wanted the shadows. Again, I didn't add so much details on it because I didn't want it to kind of be the main part. When I'm kind of thinking about how to color images, I'm thinking about how you want the eye to wander in the image. And in this case, I really wanted you to see the bauble, because that was the main part, and then you wanted your eye to kind of pull down and look at the fairy, which is the second part, and then maybe drift up to the little knob on the top, but it wasn't important, so I added at least detail on that one. So now I'm going in with doing the bauble. I think I'm only doing the coloring 1 layer, and I was talking about this in the glitter tutorial. I would recommend doing 2 layers when you are working. I don't remember right now. I haven't looked through this video before, and it is about a week ago since I recorded it. But I do recommend going through the colors twice, because that will help you to get a better blend. Also, the way I do when I do work with double colors is that I try to use make the shadows smaller on the first time around, and then when I have done all of the colors, I kind of can see where I can add a little bit more shadows, because it's easier to add shadows than remove them. When you're working with markers, you kind of work where shadows is where you put the most colors, and the lights are the absence of colors. So therefore you kind of want to map out in your head where you want the lights to be, and it's always better to start with the first layer being a little bit having bigger lights and smaller darks, because you can always add more color, but you can't really remove it easily. You can use the colorless blender, but that won't remove color that much, and usually the pigment will kind of unevenly be pushed down into the paper, and because of that I don't recommend trying to light up that much things with the colorless marker. You can use it for details, cleaning up things and stuff like that, but it's better to kind of figuring out how you want the image to look first. So you saw that little moon that I just colored over. That is the reflective light that is reflected from the floor, and that because of that it will be a little bit darker than the light that is reflected from our main light source. Kind of, you can think about it like it will lose a little bit of light when it reflects. The material that reflects it will actually eat a little bit of the light, unless it is a mirror. Mirrors reflect basically the same amount of light, but in this case it's basically the floor, so that's the idea. I'm not coloring up the floor here because I'm actually going to cut her out, because you know I like cutting images out. I'm leaving a little bit of a light area here. It's for my R24, which is the lightest color and is going to be my highlight. I really need to get refills to my reds. I'm using them up now. It's Christmas, so I'm just using the same reds over and over again. So I need to get some refills for them, but that will be later. Here I'm using the colorless blender, actually lighting up, but because I'm going to add details on top of it, it doesn't really matter that it doesn't evenly push down that ink. Then I'm adding teeny tiny dots. These are kind of the semi-reflective parts of the glitter, because I'm making a glitter ball. And if you want a full tutorial on how I actually do glitter with Copics, there will be a link in the description down below. I will try to put a little card up here, and there will be links at the end of this video linking you to how where I talk about really talk about how to color glitter, how to use your Copics and a gel pen to make glitter effects. But what I'm doing here is I'm adding the shadows of the little glitter particles. And my tip when you are doing dots is to have your pen as vertical as possible, as straight up as possible, and be very light on your hand. If you want to practice making dots, use darker pens to do them. I have found that darker pens that have more pigment and less of the blender solution will give better details, while pens that have a lot of the blending solution, the lighter pens, they will kind of seep more into the paper and therefore will not give you the same kind of details. So it's easier to actually practice with a darker pen. So after making all of these little dots, and as you can see now on this little bauble, you can see the stripes in between the different colors. If I had put a second layer and blended that out, the second layer would have helped getting those kind of edges between the different colors to disappear. But this was my 5th ball that I was coloring that day, so I just didn't. And it's also a pretty big ball. Then I'm adding glitter. When I'm adding glitter, the thought behind how many dots I'm using, it is the darker you are on the bauble, the less white dots you will have. The lighter you are on the bauble, the more white dots, the more of the glitter will be reflecting where the light source hit. It's kind of the way it works. And to add a little bit of extra effect, I'm adding those little kind of crosses, like it's twinkling, giving them a little bit of a twinkling effect. adding those twinkles where the light hits the most. I'm going overboard here, but sometimes you do that. And then adding a few in the reflective light to kind of visualize that that light also exists. And yeah, that is the coloring for today. I hope you liked it. If you do, please thumbs it up. It means a lot to me. If you have any questions, just comment down below. Down below you can find all the details to the blog post and everything. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!